or even felt before. Knowing words are clues to solving mysteries. Did you know images are the key, the third eye can see? Did you know I've fallen down the rabbit's hole? There are many rooms in here. A shadow crosses the spider's web. Outside a storm is surely coming, falling. Did you know?
Hey everybody, Mike McWilliams upstairs to the right music. So that's my song Down the Rabbit Hole. If you want to hear the full track, it is available on this channel. If you go back and listen to the Asanoki album release that I did, the full album, I do believe it's track number 4 if you want to check it out. So today I was thinking about, I was actually doing some recording, and I was thinking about all the different ways that I and my productions that I do use in terms of recording guitar. Certainly with acoustic guitar, I record using a condenser microphone, actually a very good one, a Behringer C1, which is not an expensive mic at all, but for recording acoustic guitar, I found it to just be lovely. It really doesn't have a lot of low end. You can actually, there's a switch on it, you can switch out the low end, so it does a low cut, and it's just a beautiful, brilliant microphone for doing acoustic recording. For recording electric guitars, I employ actually a couple of different methods. One of the things that I do is I use a direct box that plugs into my amps. This is the Koch direct amp. It has a lot of features in it that I think are pretty cool. It's not gonna color your sound of your amp. That's one of the reasons that I like it. What it is going to do, it's going to give you a very true recording of your amplifier. So it does have on it, however, amp simulators, so you can simulate a 1x12 or 4x12. You can also do a simulation of mic position as well on it. So it's a pretty cool device. It's one of the things that I use to record when I'm recording the amplifier direct. Another device that I use is the Studio V3, the Tube MP by Art. So I'll use the Tube MP when I'm recording directly into the DAW. It's a tube preamp, so you can get that really warm tube sound. As a matter of fact, you can open this up and swap tubes. If you look on my channel, you'll see earlier where I talk about this in depth. It's got XLR inputs and outputs, as well as quarter ins and outs, line quarter. So, it's actually a very, very useful, inexpensive tube preamp. And actually for a lot of my recordings, I've used this quite a bit. Surprisingly, like I said, a very cheap way of recording your guitar into your DAW. Of course, there's far more expensive preamps, tube preamps that you could use. But in today's environment, with all the great emulations that you can find for your DAW, you really just need something basic in order to just get a good signal into your DAW, and this is a very cheap, easy way to go. Also, one of the devices that I recently started using is this Cab Zeus Mono. Now, this is a amp cab simulator. So it has 12 variations of different cabinets and different speakers as well. It's basically an amp simulator in a box, a hardware box. Now, I've used this recently on some of my recordings that I've done lately. It's great, it's okay, but it actually started me thinking to myself, why am I not doing what I used to do, and that's record the amps directly using a microphone and placed in front of the cabinet, the speaker, and then going into my DAW. So let me show you what I do when I do that kind of recording. So generally when I'm recording, I use an SM57. It is a really great, fantastic, proven over time microphone for recording amplifiers, for recording combo amps, especially small 1x12s, which I do prefer. My Vox is a 1x12 and my Laney is a 1x12. Both of them, of course, as you guys know, have been heavily modified. So this is my rock and roller. This has my Celestion Greenback, a vintage Celestion Greenback in it. This Vox just recently came back from the shop, and I finally got that vintage Celestion Blueback put into it. So these both have vintage speakers in them and fantastic sounding, but this is my more rock and rolly, I guess for a lack of a term, amp that I use for recording these days, the stuff that I'm working on, and an SM57. And you know, you can't go wrong with that combination. It's basic, but it works. It's a proven over time way of recording combo amps. I prefer to use small combo amps when recording guitar. I have larger, you know, amps, 2x12s, 4x12s. But you know what, man, in the studio setting, you're really gonna blow your mic out the water. You're gonna blow your signal processors out of the water if you try to record those at full blast. If it was good enough for Jimmy Page when he was using small combo amps to record most of Led Zeppelin's albums, it's certainly good enough for me. So that's my basic technique is combo amp, small 1x12. You know, 1x10 I think is okay. 1x8 you're starting to get into a really tinny sound. I think that your best bang for the buck is a 1x12 with a great sounding speaker in it. I certainly have that now with these two. These are fantastic recording amplifier combo amps now. So that's what I do with my recording process, and I think my work, as you've heard, speaks for itself. So as you can see, you know, that method of recording using the SM57 going, you know, placed right in front of your mic cabinet, depending, and positioning it to get the sweet spot, and then going into your DAW or through a preamp or whatever it is you want to do in that process, that chain, is your best bet for the money. Now I understand that if you're in an apartment situation and you can't crank that amp up, then of course recording using a microphone and the speaker is not going to be ideal. Certainly it's not going to work for you either if you try to do it at low volumes. You can record them at low volumes, but if you're really trying to get that punch out of that 1x12, then you need to really kick it up a notch. And you probably have your neighbors throwing stones through your window if you do that, if you're in an apartment situation. If you're in a studio situation like I am, and you know, or you don't have neighbors and you can kick it up like that, then that's really, in my opinion, your best bet. That's going to give you your best sound in terms of recording electric guitar, either your cleans or your distorted guitars. Depending upon the combo amp that you're using to record with. So these are some of the various methods that I use to record electric guitar. As you know, you can use a direct box, you can use a simulator hard box, you can use a preamp going into your DAW and then use whatever simulation software you have available, or you can do the old-fashioned way of just sticking that mic in front of a combo amp and, you know, recording like that. So these are all the different methods that I employ. I use them all. I guess you can tell that my preference actually is using a microphone in front of a combo amp. A 1x12 is my preference. Again, you know, depending upon whether you can do that or not, the situation that you're recording in plays a big part in it. So of course here in Singapore it's really super hot and you have to run the air cons all the time. However, if you're using that direct miking technique to capture guitar sounds, it's pretty tough to do that when you've got the air cons running, because they will pick up on your microphones. So in my studio room, I have stripped down to my underwear. It's probably TMI, because it gets so hot in there when I'm recording guitar. Yeah, it's really probably too much information, but I still dig, you know, it's a lot of trouble, it's a lot of sweat, but I still dig the sound that I get from using that method of recording electric guitar. So your mileage may vary, of course, depending upon your situation. It's all of it, you know, it depends upon your budget again. I like trying to get the most out of things for less money. There are really, really nice examples of DI boxes, you know, simulators in a box, preamps, where you could spend a lot of money. But I think if you got a good signal going in and you know what you're doing, there's nobody out there that's really going to know the difference whether you spent $80 for your preamp or if you spent, you know, $1,000 for your preamp. Yeah, the audio heads, you know, may be able to hear, but if you really are using the right software in your DAW and you get a good line in, most people aren't going to know. And I think that also the challenge there, of course, is improving your recording techniques overall anyway. So that's just my opinion. Again, your mileage may vary. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that short crash course in how I record my guitars into my DAW, how I do my guitar recordings, electric guitar. Bass is a little bit different. I actually have a bass amp Mark, what is a Mark bass preamp. That is a fantastic way of recording bass guitar, but you know, I've used the Studio 3 going directly into my DAW for some bass recordings as well in the past. So again, a really versatile, inexpensive tool this Tube MP is. I can't sing the praises of it enough. Again, it's a true tube preamp. You can swap the tubes in it. This has actually a really nice tube in it, so it's got a really great sound. It's been burned in, so it has a great tone to it. So I really can't sing the praises that enough. Anyway, so that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button. I appreciate our new subscribers. I picked up one or two here. I want to thank you for taking the time to subscribe to the channel. It's mucho apreciado. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.